How's it going, guys? Time to kick back, relax, grab yourself something to drink, something to snack on, because I'm back with part 4 in my read-through of The Secret Man by Frank Dux. I want to thank Will Spike from Bullshit Martial Arts who helped me come up with this Frank Dux meme you see on screen. We were discussing Frank saying that his dad got kidnapped and how he had to take matters into his own hands like he was Liam Neeson from Taken. And Will Spike posted a comment saying it probably would have been something more like this, and then posted a YouTube video from Family Guy. It was a parody of Taken when May got kidnapped, and then Peter says, "I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but I have a particular lack of skills. I will never be able to find you. What I do have is $2 and a Casio wristwatch. You can have one of these." And then the guy says something and then hangs up, and then Peter goes, "Lois, I think Meg's dead." Yeah, thank you to Will Spike for posting that video and just giving me another Frank Dux meme to make. Because when I heard that, when I saw that, I'm like, I got a perfect picture for that. And I took the picture from Frank's book and then did some photo editing, and here we are. So let's go ahead and continue on with part 4. We're on chapter 4, Casey's Echo. The man seated on the park bench looked innocuous enough. He might have been anyone's grandfather with his knitted cap, a perpetually flushed face, and a red porous nose, peeking out from where he hunched down in his dark coat. He pulled up his collar to shield his neck from the winds. His deeply lined face was etched like rock in the cold. Washington, D.C. looked even dingier than usual, but despite the weather, which threatened snow, a number of people walked briskly by. I pulled my coat more tightly around me and approached the bench. He stared in the other direction, not looking at me as I sat down beside him. His eyes seemed lost in the distance. Still, at this close proximity, I could feel a magnetism that seemed to emanate from some powerful source of energy deep inside him. My anxiety, momentarily allayed at a distance, now returned. "Hello, Frank," he said, still not looking at me. His voice was raspy and gruff, surprisingly tense, perhaps due to the cold. "Don't look so shocked. I know you were expecting someone else, perhaps Ames, but you'll have to deal with surprises if you work for me. Anyway, I'll cut the small talk and get down to business. I've got an offer for you, son. One I think you'll find very interesting." He had yet to look at me. I tried to keep from staring, so I fixed my eyes on the black form of a dog in front of our bench. I wondered if we were being watched, and my eyes scanned the park's perimeter. I could not spot anyone. The owner of the dog, perhaps. Certainly Casey wouldn't be here alone. That would be taking too much of a chance. Later, however, when I got to know him, I realized that it wouldn't be beyond him to have come alone that day. Bill Casey wasn't above taking risks. In fact, they had been instrumental to his success. This was the man who, among other things, had become rich through shrewd security dealings and had orchestrated Ronald Reagan's successful presidential bid. His risks were calculated, of course. Certainly he had people stationed around the park's perimeter, and I doubt if he would have met me that day if he had not been convinced of his safety. He had definitely done his homework concerning my background. Oh, yeah, okay. You see, son, he continued, I know a lot about you from Foreman's files. You're a real piece of work. Of course, my code is never to trust anyone completely, and that's part of where you come in. I wonder just how much he actually knew. I know it all, Casey continued. The Marines never doing a real military tour of duty, never attending any of the required military uh, occupational skills school, never serving the necessary 130 days of active duty. Of course, Forsman made sure you got special warfare training and performs clandestine operations from the inside. You've got the training. Forsman is a sharp son of a bitch, and you can bet he covered his ass with you. Ames managed to ferret you out, or else I'd have never known you existed. He head of the fucking CIA, but existed. Me, head of the fucking CIA, but I like the fact that you're unorthodox, and I don't mean your religion. That's exactly what makes you most valuable to me. He paused as the dog, a huge lab with lolling tongue, ran up to snort blist of steam in our laps and leave to a trail of warm dribble that immediately turned icy on my pants leg. An unorthodox position for an unorthodox man, he continued as the dog scampered off in response to its owner's whistle. We need someone who's so far inside his outside, or so far inside he's outside, if you get my meaning. I did. Forsman had done something of the same thing. He eliminated certain documents, minimizing any paper trail that could later surface to connect me to the intelligence community and subject me to such requirements as congressional leave a caption, I can't read that word, that could lead to possible leaks and the I'll leave another caption, I can't read that one either, of top secret information. He didn't go by the book by never having me sign the National Secrets Agreement. Forsman broke with procedure and the intelligence community's code of honor. He feared that we would destroy ourselves with indecision and from within, rather than scrambling to some foreign power. In my case, he worshipped at the altar of the new prevailing ideology that the ends justify the means. Ironically, the antithesis of Semper Fidelis, the Marine Corps code of honor that in my eyes meant the means determine the ends. Semper Fidelis means always faithful, Frank. I never even served in the Marine Corps, and I know this. Okay. Okay. How can one be dishonorable and maintain one's honor? Perhaps that. d- I'll leave a caption, I can't read that word. Is why more Marine veterans of my generation would die by their own hands than were killed in the Vietnam War. Not to mention those who prefer to kill themselves solely with alcohol or drugs. Casey coughed as if he were gargling gravel. I want you to become an echo, son, if you will. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? Well, I won't bullshit you. I need someone who can survive out in the cold. Less than 10% of the covert ops at the level I've got in mind for you can survive in the cold for the duration of a career. Oh, you'll face all the regular challenges of your glamorous spies, risking torture or imprisonment in some other country, or the usual dangers of playing with weapons and blowing your own ass off, but you'll run the additional risk of being accidentally taken out by your own side, and nobody will ever publicly own you. No one will publicly own you. You beginning to get the idea, son? I did. Forsman had gotten me used to operating on my own and always from the official loop. That was okay by me. I didn't like being responsible to a bureaucracy. I cannot pronounce this goddamn word to save my life. I'll leave a caption. Okay, of glorified analysts who never put their own lives on the line, who loved telling the actual risk takers what to do and how to do it. I want you independent of anyone except me. That is, Casey added, you're you're my secret weapon, son. Anyone gets out of line, you will put them in the penalty box. He looked at me for the first time, catching me dead in the eye. Beneath his loose, good old boy demeanor, I detected an absolute seriousness of purpose. I knew little about William Casey. I knew that in his heyday he had been one of General Wild Bill Donovan's, father of the OSS Golden Boys, fighting easily recognizable monsters in human form, the Nazis, in a time when it still seemed possible to act heroically in the defense of good against evil. I want you because Ames convinced me you believed in the old values. He continued as if reading my mind. He leaned closer, and I could feel the steam of his breath. I'll leave a caption, I can't read that word. In my face. I want you to be one badass who don't take no shit from any motherfucker. Forsman didn't know everything. I shivered a bit, perhaps from the cold, or perhaps from recalling Forsman's suspicious death while stationed in Wiesbaden, Germany, as head of European intelligence. According to my sources, the military doctors told him all he was suffering from was a bad disc, when actuality he was dying of cancer. Casey turned away, shaken by another fit of coughing. The part had grown, I'll leave a caption, I can't read that word, deserted. The cold had intensified and driven everyone indoors. A few flakes of snow drifted down. I've got to warn you, son, because I believe in being straight. He gave a cold chuckle. Despite my business and what people might think, and because I want you going in with your eyes open, that's the kind of guy you are, right? You know the odds, but you go in anyway because you know it's the right thing to do. He paused, gazing off into the distance before going into a lengthy explanation of what I should expect, stressing that once I embark on this journey, I'd be left to my own devices if I got into trouble. What he didn't tell me was that I was about to begin a continuous balancing act on the edge of a psychological razor. To fall off meant you lost your sanity. The experience of or the experience and insight one gains in this work creates the groove that steadies your footing and enables you to maintain your nerve, but it leaves you a scar as well. Casey didn't mention that sometimes you won't be able to distinguish the groove from the scar. Perhaps some become convinced they're one of the same. Unlike in the civilian world and in the intelligence community, psychological breakdowns and treatment are accepted without stigma, or expected without stigma, or oh no, accepted. Sorry, I get those. Sometimes I get mixed up here. Accepted without stigma. One very special CIA SOD officer, for example, collapsed, fell apart, totally lost it. After treatment, he was promoted to head the coveted London station office. The I'll leave a caption, I can't read that word. Takes care of its own. Healthy minds are encouraged. Why not? If you're willing to turn up your car to keep or tune up your car to keep it running smoothly, why not your minds? Sometimes an overhaul can do the trick. Casey told me you'll be on the outside. We can't take care of you through normal channels, and sometimes we won't be able to take care of you at all. I'm banking on your being able to take care of yourself. Just what do you want me to do? I asked. He gave me the what the I, I'll leave a caption in case this is actually a word. I don't think it is. I think this is a misspelling. Okay, grain he reserved for those moments when he was about to share something the other person didn't know. Well, for starts, how about finding some fucker who might not even exist? And what do you think about rubbing elbows with big bad wolves themselves. The Soviets, he chuckled, probably at the puzzlement in my eyes. Okay. Do what you do best, son, he continued, except when it comes to me, of course. I demand absolute loyalty. He he swiped at his runny nose. The wind made his eyes water too. The edge of his voice let me know he wasn't kidding. I need a ghost, someone not subject to reports, red tape, even laws. With some jobs, a standard CIA operative would be open to political suicide. I'm going to ask you to do some things that will surprise you and other things that'll scare the hell out of you. There are other aspects as well. I need someone who can operate as a liaison between international organized crime and the agency, and we both know you have experience in that area. I want a I want a zookeeper, son, a spy for spies. The old saying goes that power corrupts, and someone needs to keep the house in order. I want to I won't tolerate anyone working here without my knowledge, but sometimes individuals work for their own interest, using their authority to act with impunity. The agency must be protected, and right now I'm the agency. That's why you answer to me, and I mean only me. You'll work in the system, but with uh, operative independence and anonymity. I'll leave a caption. I can't read that word. I want an internal affairs operative who's young, too young to be con. See, I'll leave a caption. I can't read that word. Of as holding such a position, and I want someone with years of prior training. In other words, I want you. Understand? I took a deep breath. No, not really. I still don't get why I'm your man, but I'll take the job. Good. He stood and started to walk away, then turned back to me. Let's just say I liked your code name. It has a special meaning for me. I stared after I stared after him as he left. Forsman had provided me with the code name Joshua. I wondered what meaning that held for Casey, but as would often be the case in the future, the old man wasn't enlightening me, about to enlighten me. So went my second meeting with Bill Casey, one of many such encounters, always in secret and outside usual channels. Casey didn't trust anyone, but I believe he trusted me to a greater extent than anyone else, perhaps because he knew I wasn't a career man and didn't care about power and prestige within the system. He was a maverick himself, and he rep- respected the quality in me, and respected that quality in me. More importantly, Perhaps he felt that the link between, yeah, Frank put that like he put that twice. Oh God, the link felt that the link between between us enabled him to anticipate my actions and reactions, and to a large extent, he was correct. He also knew that I operated under the moral code inherited from my father and Tanaka. Tanaka's. What the? I'll leave a caption. Some. Okay. Oh, yeah. Is martial arts instructor who he stole from Blood. Not Blood. Fucking the James Bond movie is martial. Anyone with a moral code is valuable because one's reactions are consistent with the code. A skillful judge of character, Casey definitely possessed the ability to read people. His keen eye could always anticipate the responses of someone who would not waver from his personal code. Knowing where knowing where one stands with another individual is perhaps the closest one can come to a sense of trust, particularly in the business of espionage. Casey never knew the full extent of beliefs, and I doubt that he could completely understand them, but I believe he sensed that my background would save me from the miserable fates of so many of my associates. Chronic depression, alcoholism, drugs, and suicide. Some became hooked on the adrenaline rush and then acted without consequence or conscience. Someone without a conscience can never be trusted. In addition, the pursuit of monetary gain contaminated the ideas expressed in John Kennedy's. I'll leave a caption, I can't read that. Or ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Agents such as CIA turncoat Eldrick Ames, who at the pinnacle of his career found government pay and patriotic ideas insufficient for his ambitions, have become a fear, the typical prototypes for the agency's image. Sorry, this book is giving me bad gas. At the age of 19, I had not yet lost my sense of romanticized glory that imbued my vision of espionage. Perhaps my resentful feeling originated in boot camp, where the prejudice and anti-Semitism I experienced reawakened my sense of Jewishness, but only through the realization that I was a stranger to my own culture. Defending it, sometimes not even knowing why I did so, caused an appreciation of my heritage to grow. I also began to welcome challenges as an avenue to growth and the affirmation of those things that are truly important. Casey's joke about being unorthodox was correct. Despite my family's background, if not for Yom Kippur, and if I'm mispronouncing the name of this Jewish holiday to anyone who celebrates it, I'm really sorry. The Day of Atonement or Passover Seders, my Jewish identity would have escaped me entirely. Perhaps my parents had suffered so much from their racial heritage that they no longer wanted to tempt fate by calling too much attention to themselves. Perhaps they wanted to spare my brother and me the suffering they had endured. How could they not in some way equate being a Jew with being a victim? But perhaps I owe my religious awakening to the bigotry of a zealous Marine Corps drill instructor. In front of the entire San Diego Marine platoon of fresh recruits right off the bus, heads freshly shaved, he ordered me to strip to my and skivvies and stand on a footlocker on display. "This is what a Jew looks like," he bellowed. "See his big fucking nose? It will shrink when he lets his horns out. So will his dick," added by a guy named Hicks, an African American recruit. Everyone laughed. A secret, ironic laugh came from within me, for I knew that the drill instructor hated blacks even more than Jews. Later, after discovering it, another drill instructor made a point of my Jewishness through unwanted punishments of sit-ups and push-ups, squats and bends. The platoon was incited to detest my presence. Overnight, my stature diminished from platoon guide, the recruit's platoon leader, who carries the flag and sets the cadence for marching, to a can't-do-nothing-right scapegoat. I took the abuse because I knew the temporary nature of my presence and the importance of maintaining my cover. Little by little, though, the abuse wore through. One Sunday, I refused to bow my head in prayer during a Christian religious service I was forced to attend, an action resulting in a blanket party. Don't tell me he's going to rip off Full Metal Jacket now. I woke with a blanket covering my head and fists beating my face and body from behind the anatomy of cover. When I lashed out as much from instinct as anything, several recruits were injured. A report of misconduct was lodged against me, and I was soon transferred to another platoon, this one even worse due to the impudent of an Annapolis graduate. Oh, leave a caption. I can't name the place. His graduate who thought he maintained his respect of his staff, although they could often be heard. Then I'll leave another caption. I can't read that word. Him and his Naval Academy education. Okay, a couple of weeks after the blanket party, I stood before a new drill instructor in his I'll leave a caption, I can't read that word, hut, long after lights out, frozen at attention as he hurled leave another caption, I can't read that word either, and shook his belt. with its huge corpse buckle of an eagle perched atop the globe of the world in my face. I don't give a damn about you, he screamed. Soon, some leader. After my graduation from boot camp, I met with naval brass and an assistant to the Secretary of the Navy to evaluate my recent experiences. Later, a little mutual respect between instructors and recruits existed, I reported, and with good reason. It wasn't a matter of tough training, I emphasized. Training had always been tough, but from reports, drill instructors had previously had more respect for the corps. The current practice of humiliation and almost exclusively using profanity toward one's man was only one indication of the rampant lack of respect that had infected the corps. Okay, boot camp in 1975 seemed little more than an opportunity for career Marines to pump up their own egos. No longer were the principles of honor and a devotion to a code of ethics installed in the recruits, but instead recruits were encouraged to become hostile and mindless hoodlums. Early morning training runs took place to such songs as I'll leave a caption. I can't read that word. Okay, let's see. All right, kill grandmothers, kill grandfathers, kill babies. Hoorah! I shuddered to think of the similarities between such chants and the stories I had heard concerning the Nazi SS. Not long after my warning that if the current practices continued, someone would certainly die. Someone did. Under the eyes of his drill instructor, and an exhausted recruit sustained a series of fatal blows to the head in a I can't read that word match. Okay, despite the heavy padding at the ends of the 6 foot stick. In addition, there was the possibility that the recruit was semi-retarded and did not belong in the corps in the first place, a victim of an all too typical unethical recruiter who bypassed or cheated the screening process to meet stagnant recruiting quotas. I'll leave a caption, I can't read that word. Concerning the Corps played a role in my later willingness to accept Casey's offer to serve my country through other means, given conditions in the military. I could not hold my head up and proudly proclaim Semper Fidelis with conviction. Something I was wrong there, or something was wrong there. Although I was not sure what, I sure as hell had no idea how to fix it. Little did I realize it then, but during my experience in the Corps, my internal struggle between patriotic faithfulness and my deeply ingrained desire for justice had just begun. Okay, that's it for Chapter 4. Hopefully you enjoyed this read-through of The Secret Man by Frank Dux. Till next time, take care.